approving the purchase of dispatch furniture from Russ Bassett Corporation, Whittier, California, at the cost of $79,937.85 with funds from the E911 system. This will add an additional station that is needed due to the acquiring Hutchinson Dispatch. It will also upgrade the current furniture. The total cost of the upgrade is $144,937.85. However, a matching grant the Sheriff's Office received will offset $65,000 of that total.
Questions for Mr. Ward?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel and seconded by Commissioner Wright to accept. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Go ahead, we'll see.
C, consider approving Resolution 22-CB-39 authorizing McLeod County to be a fiscal agent and administer the Towards Zero Death Grant for the period October 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023. McLeod County and other agencies have an arrangement in which they rotate fiscal agents for this grant. McLeod County has been a fiscal agent in previous years.
Move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Discussion. The only question I have, how many, and I couldn't find out, how many agencies or people are involved in this? I know you do a rotate, or the situation here is a rotating fiscal agent. How many are involved?
It's Glencoe Police Department, Hutchinson Police Department, Winsted Police Department, Brownton, and ourselves. Glencoe's been the fiscal agent probably the past 6-7 years, so we've been pretty fortunate that they've just continued to do that. But
Okay, that's the
before
answer I
that,
was looking for. I did not know. I didn't know if it was Meeker County, Renville, right? No, that makes
Yeah.
perfect sense that everything is in McLeod County. I'm fine with that. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works, John. Morning,
Morning.
John.
Morning.
Couple items for you today. Item A is to consider approving the purchase of a snowplow package, basically a 2024 Mack tandem chassis from Hhsc Equipment. The state bid price for the chassis is $152,289.57, including tax, and then the corresponding truck equipment package from Towmaster out of Litchfield is a state contract price of $176,467, making it a total price for that plow of $328,756.57. This plow is in, so the snow plows right now, similar to the last time we bought plows, they're 12 to 18 months out. So we're planning for this plow to come out of the 2024 budget. And they'll hold that price, they'll honor that price. Currently, the state chassis, or the chassis state contract ends in May of 2023. And the Towmaster equipment package ends at the end of October of this year. So similar to the last time, we'll have likely price increases. The last time we bought the plow, it was $280,000. This package you can see here is $328,000. If we wait for the next round of state bids or put it off closer to 2024, we're probably looking at another $10,000 to $20,000 of increases, most likely, anywhere from 3 to 10%, whatever, take a guess what the market's doing. But that's some of the rationale bringing it before you today is, number one, the timing of just what it's been taking to get the plows, and then of course, the price increases. Currently, we have 16 tandems. 7 of those are still the old Sterlings. The Sterling parts are obsolete, as you know. A couple other things with the Sterlings, the fuel efficiency isn't the same as what we're getting out of the Max. Our current plow fleet on average is about 10 years old and roughly has 91,000 miles on average. So, it's just a matter of if we don't keep up, there's more repairs, there's more downtime. I only
have one. I didn't, quite honestly, John, I didn't have time to look through through the fleet. You sent it out yesterday, and just a hectic day, but
Yep.
could you just sum up? I mean, the verbiage in here is like it's replacing a spare. That's maybe what it's replacing, but that's not saying that's
No.
gonna be a spare.
It won't
That's
be,
not-
absolutely not, no, we just, as you know, when we would roll down, the oldest
Sure.
plow would be the spares, or the oldest, I should say, the ones in the poorest condition would be the spares. They might not be typically based on mileage and years, but a couple of them could have had a harder life than the others, but, you know, it's, I mean, we've said it in the past, every time we come with a plow package, I mean, that's a rough life for a snow plow, full of salt, you know, harsh environment, and, you don't want breakdowns at 5 in the morning, so we
And
can,
my only, I mean, and that's the only questions I had. I'd like to see you emphasize, I mean, I've been going along with these plows basically because Sterlings are no more. And, you know, it's good to keep replacing them. I think we need to take a hard look at everything as it comes along because of the economy the way it is. But right
Yep.
now, my personal feeling is that we're all right. I'd like to emphasize the energy efficiencies to the new trucks as well. I mean, this is kind of the same verbiage, and it's probably still the same, but it'd be nice to update that, so, or, you know, or if there's any more data as we get in these new plows, what are we saving? I mean, is there a rough idea on maintenance time and fuel, that, you know, because that's a big deal right now.
yeah, and moving forward too, we want to, I've mentioned in the past, we want to get into more of a tighter fleet management type of system, so we can show you guys some of these questions come up all the time, and they're fair questions, right? You're spending $300,000, so.
Yeah, and it helps us answer questions when we get them too as
Yeah.
well, so. Board, is there any more questions?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
so last 2 weeks ago, I was struggling, you know, we're in the heat of the 2023 budget cycle, you know, and we're buying stuff for 2024, committing to that. But I do appreciate, so you're saying the estimate, if not for everything, if we wait, but certainly the equipment package is a 3 to 10% increase.
That'd be my guess, as you know, like I said, last time that plow went up $50,000 from the last time we bought them.
Yeah. Well, so I appreciate you bringing it to us where we can, you know, find those savings and go from it. It is hard to sit and budget for, you know, 2023, and we're spending money in 2024 already, so. But I appreciate that coming forward, and yes, I think it is an absolute must for me that this fleet management type, I don't know if it's a software or if it's just some internal controls that can happen, not only in highway, but across the board. We're still waiting on some info regarding the fleet across the board, how that looks, because those questions are coming up a lot, you know, what the true maintenance costs are versus the replacement. So thanks for bringing the savings forward, and I'll yield to the rest of the board.
John, what's the mileage on a snowplow?
So right now, like I said, our average fleet is about 90,000 miles on them right now.
No, mileage per gallon.
Oh, the new Macs are getting about 5 when they're plowing. The old Sterling's got 3.5, something like that, so.
Did,
Thank you.
me and Mr. Young brought that up, is that spare mileage, it is, I mean, there's more miles on that particular truck than the average, is there not, or what's on that spare that you're turning, that you're,
Well, the oldest truck in the fleet now has about 199,000 miles on it,
Okay.
and that's a 2005.
one last question for me is, just came to mind, are we looking at other power units? I mean, do you kind of keep an eye on other power units, or is there, and if not, is there a reason you keep Max? Is it mileage? Is it availability of parts?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. We have 9 Macs now, right? The oldest Mac right now is a 2012, and it's still in good condition, according to Eric. If that was a Sterling, if that was a Western Star maybe, or a Peterbilt, whatever else is out there, we can buy other plow packages off of the state bid. Probably Max might be a little more than the Western Star. Eric hasn't priced them apples to apples, but the biggest piece is to standardize on them too. You know, standardized parts, standardized, we've had good luck with the Max. Eric says the service is great for where we go for the Max. I mean, all these vehicles nowadays, there's a lot of emission issues off and on that go back for recalls or go back for updates and stuff. We just purchased a Mac software tool last year to diagnose them more. It's, it was like $2,000-3,000 software tool, but it saves us trips down to Mankato and whatever, so.
And that is the question that I was just making sure that, I'm sure you guys were reviewing it, I mean, because that's worth something to have
Yep.
the availability of parts and service, but I mean, and also to watch the, I know the engines are basically the same, but that doesn't mean they get the same mileage, per gallon, but
Yep.
that's a big deal when you're putting on them kind of miles, but.
Yeah, I think at the life of it, the Macs have been, the guys are happy with them, and, they probably are a little more truck versus the next, but you're getting what you pay for, and we're not fixing them as often.
And I
That's
like
a lot
that,
to
I mean,
it.
if it's nice to keep that on record as well, I mean, because when a person has that question, the average person wouldn't know that, so.
Yeah.
Any
Mr.
other
Chair.
question?
Yeah, I just want to throw in there, this conversation, you maybe remember a time many years ago, I think I was the only one on the board at that time where board members were interested in trying a different brand that was considerably cheaper, and it was a huge mistake. It was constantly in the shop, and we were happy to finally get rid of it because it just didn't work out. So when you buy up for quality, it does last longer, and these things really go through a tough time plowing snow. So it's good to invest in good equipment.
Yeah, I mean, checking around, I mean, just because you can buy one, I mean, I'm open-minded, now just because you can buy one cheap, that doesn't make it a better deal. I mean, obviously, those points that you point on, and should be kind of documented as we move along on why, that there are good reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, coming forward, we're putting, Andrea, the accountant, and Eric, we're putting together some stuff, actually came out of an LRB study. Dakota County has some stuff for some fleet management that we're trying to copy and mimic a little bit, and Sheila and Spencer have been in the loop for potentially some stuff countywide, I guess, to transfer it to that, too.
This is a kind of off the way, are they comparable when you start getting around the metro area? Is the use the same as basically in plowing snow as McLeod County versus Dakota County? I mean, it's a little different.
I'd say they're similar just because we run 100% salt. I think they, in the metro, a lot of them run 100% salt. You go in some of the western parts of the state, they're running more 20% sand salt, versus us. So, but otherwise, I mean, I think they're all, they're.
Again, a
taking
layman,
some
of
wear
my
and
own
tear.
personal opinion, and I live on a blacktop or now cement road, that 100% salt seems to be a win-win for us, but I mean, I don't see the spreadsheet on the cost, but it seems to be.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
John? Are we getting plows this year or 2023? Is anything coming?
The last round of plows you purchased at the end of 2021 are coming in early '23 is what they're slated for.
Two.
3 trucks in 2023.
Two?
3.
And in this spreadsheet you gave us, those 3 replacements are not counted, or you?
No,
still
they're not
got-
counted. So
Okay.
the 3 of those will replace 3 of these Sterlings, and then we'll have 4 left.
And remind me again, where are they going out for
So
mid-bid?
so
or-
we'll put them up on min bid or put them up for auction once we get the other ones.
Okay.
Yep.
More questions? Is there a
What's
motion?
other counties doing if they got the Sterlings? Are they getting rid of them too?
I don't know. Sterlings are pretty old, so my hunch would be everybody's recycling them down the road because they're that old, I guess.
My small
I'm not
round
sure.
of checking is, yes, they're getting, nobody has a Sterling. There's a couple other trucks that, and I don't want to start getting mentioning brand names, but there's a few others that they won't deal with anymore, just kind of like John alluded to, there's some trucks power units they don't want, so. For reasons of parts and availability and service.
I think consistency on the fleet is probably one of the biggest points of value that we see, just consistency. The guys know how to work on the same truck, the same same issues potentially.
The checks I did is about, there's about 3 different brands of power units that everybody basically has. The little bit I looked into, talking to other commissioners, they have this, nobody has Sterlings anymore, or else they're trying to phase them out
We don't make them anymore.
No.
because there's no parts.
So why did we go down that road 10 years ago? Sterling's.
No idea.
It was beyond 10. I mean, it was, we started with Sterling's since I've been here, earlier than that. And MnDOT went to them, the cities, that was the go-to
Yeah, they were the truck to have.
animal then, yeah.
If memory serves me right, and it was before I was really that much involved, but I was in the trucks, that was it. They made a big push years ago to have that plow, pushed for that plowed road truck, if memory serves me right, in power units.
It's probably 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah, yep.
I want to say, didn't 2 companies go together? And it's neither here nor there, it really isn't for today, but,
National and Sterling.
yeah.
They were running Cat motors, I think, but, yeah,
So do you retire them by age or by mileage? Or both?
combination, yeah.
Do you need a motion?
I do.
Make a motion that we purchase this Mack. Is the plow with that or separate?
Yeah, it's the whole package.
Separate motion?
No, same motion, 328, 75, 57.
All right, that's the motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Luthens, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright, to approve the purchase of this plow. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item B.
Item B is it's not a state travel request for myself to attend. There's 2 upcoming Local Road Research Board events, similar to when I came to you before with the travel to Seattle for the local technology assistance program. These events would be the Transportation Research Board's annual meeting in Washington DC, January 8th through 12th, and then the North Dakota Transportation Conference, March 6th through 8th. As I've stated in the past, I am a member of the Local Road Research Board's Research Implementation Committee. The LRB sends members like us, other city county members around to various events, international, nationally, to attend these conferences and bring back technology transfer ideas, bring back, you pick up a nugget, you pick up different things at these events. For example, I mentioned last time when I was at the Seattle one, we had a discussion one day at lunch with some Montana State University LTAP directors talking about dust control and what they're using out there for some different things. So we're going to look at that and try to implement some things for the upcoming season next year a little bit for that, with those ideas. But over the years, I've been to a number of these different events like this, learning different ideas, concrete, for example, what we're doing with our concrete overlays, changing joint widths, changing unsealed versus sealed joints, all kinds of events like that.
I
So
guess bottom line for me, you feel there's a value to you attending these to the county, or you bring back data and different things that you go through?
there's always a nugget or two you pick up, whether it be in a session, through a PowerPoint from somebody, or through networking with them at lunch. Yeah, and the other part of it is I've had the opportunity to serve on this community, and I want to serve on these, this statewide committee, and to give back to it. Not everybody can go and get asked to be on this. I mean, it's kind of a special deal to be asked to serve on these, so I think it looks good for us. It looks good for McLeod County, just for our names are out there, and I feel there's value. I will add that, when you go on these, it's not like you're gone so the one conference is 4 days. My phone's on, my emails are checked. If there's issues back home, they call. Yeah,
I guess maybe for me, when I gave it some thought, it's just maybe what we need to know more. For me, I read these acronyms or I read these, I have no idea what that is. I mean, you told me more than I knew, and maybe we're lacking the knowledge of, I mean, I don't need it in an email tonight. I mean, I
Right.
know you're pretty good about writing that out, but sometime let us know what some of these what some of these organizations do. There's no possible way. I talk to different engineers, they use acronyms or they don't go, and that's not a good sign
Well, they
either.
don't use as many as MnDOT though, right?
But, no, that's maybe our problem, or my problem, that I don't actually understand what these organizations do, so that would be helpful.
Sure.
What can you learn in North Dakota?
Well, part of it is to help run the booth during the breaks in the event center. But honestly, the conference is in the packet. There's a thin overlay topic, there's state and local partnership topic, and there's changes in construction technology. So there wasn't many people that wanted to step up and go to Bismarck in March. And I got some past experiences there, so I said I would do it if it works out. So one of the upcoming, speaking to your point, Commissioner, with so the electeds know what is LRB, what is the RIC. One of the ideas coming down the pipeline that we were just talking about, someone submitted, was to have a presentation or a packet put together for elected officials, right? So we can go to the Township Association there and show them what LRB is and tell them what it does and what you can find for research products and different things out of there. One of the most recently completed RIC workbooks was an updated snow and ice control handbook for maintenance operators and things like that. So there's definitely value if you look into it, but we'll make a point to try to, it's been on my list with them to be able to tell the story better to boards and councils.
No, and I appreciate what you've given us here. I mean, and obviously, I know the award you got for cement, and I'm not going to use the right words, but whatever organization that was, and everybody's happy with me, especially in my district. Right now, we got quite a few cement roads, quite a change in the last 10 years. And I hope you paid attention at those conferences, because we got good roads, and I hope, me looking the little bit I learned about them on the maintenance, the way they're cut up in little squares, it looks good. It remains to be seen. There's old stigmas to cement.
Sure.
And, and I think some of them have gone away, and if we don't ask or don't get some information, we don't know. And if you don't read it, it's my fault.
Well, and if a cement road cracks, it fails according to the public, right? But if an asphalt road cracks, it's just a crack and you fill it with tar. But I mean, they were both gonna crack. But I think, the more we've been changing the jointing patterns and the panel lengths and widths, hopefully we got something good now with what we're doing. We've had a couple of the early ones are a little bit more cracking and different things, but we've changed that,
And
hopefully.
you can contribute, you can contribute some of this by just staying up with the different things that are happening.
Absolutely.
Any more questions from the board?
Yeah, Mr.
Go
Chair.
ahead.
And John, with the request, there's no cost associated with it. How is the program funded then, if there's no direct cost to the
So
county?
Local Road Research Board gets a little rake out of the whole highway user fund. So the money that's going into your gas tax, sales tax, license tab fees, a portion of that is raked off for research and things, and this comes out of that account. And it helps fund the U of M, their LTAP centers, it funds the LRB, things like that.
For
Mr.
me,
Chair.
that helps as well, because in other words, there's funds there that the public are giving you, and if you don't go, you're not utilizing those funds. I mean, that's a good point in itself, so.
Yeah.
Just want to bring up, I'm in support of being able to go to these conferences. Sometimes we look at that out of state in different ways. You can travel an hour and a half to the east and be out of state, or you can travel 3 hours northwest and still be here, So, but the important thing is what are we getting back?
Exactly.
And the description of the activities there sound like it's a perfect match to be able to have someone there. You have to have a seat at the table in order to learn, right? So, and we know that Mr. Brunkhorst has been awarded nationally by his peers volunteers in some of these groups, and he's served on in leadership positions, and so we know that he's working hard when he goes there. So I'll make a motion to approve the travel.
Motion made by
Second.
Commissioner Wright and seconded by Commissioner Smalls. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Before you run off, John, I didn't get a chance to tell you, but do you have anything from the Transportation Alliance that you can, I didn't ask you about
Sure.
that earlier.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about, so Daryl and I were at the fly-in, Commissioner Luthens, and feel free, Commissioner, to chime in. With the biggest thing with the new IIJA money, that's the big transportation bill, there's a lot of sub-pots and discretionary funds that they're coming out with. There's a workforce development pot of money, there's a SMART grant out there now for some things. A lot of it is, a lot of it's related to diversity and some things. Now, I don't know how we would compete with some of that. So those are out there. I think the biggest thing for me, we had a group meeting with Senator Smith one afternoon, and we heard some folks talk about 212 a little bit. The 212 group, a lot of those guys went out earlier and did a lot of their meetings right away in the morning. So we did not get to those, but we did drop in on Congresswoman Fishbach's office and had a good discussion with her legislative director, Nick Lunenborg is his name. We probably talked to him 15 minutes or so, and that's long time in the eyes of DC.
Was he the one that used to work for Emmer?
Yes, he
He's really
was.
he's on top of this.
Yeah, he was good, and he, honestly, his biggest question wasn't really transportation, but he talked a lot about the ARPA. And we brought up what we're doing with what the boards have done with the ARPA funds and some of the COVID relief money, and he was real interested in that. But that was probably the biggest one. Overall, the attendance-wise, there was probably 50 to 60 from Minnesota, I'd say, that attended, through all kinds of things. The Bloomington group was there pushing for 494, the 23 group is getting a lot of traction out west. Southwest Coalition, of course, is doing a lot, and heard a lot from the guys about 212, and now, of course, they're moving to 5, and then there's another bridge project they're pushing over there a little bit too, but it's a lot of competition. The big thing, hopefully, earmarks will come back a little bit, or so there's not such a bad persona with the word earmark, right? Congressionally spending, delegated spending, however that's stated, so.
Did that 10 million, was that awarded while you guys were out there, or was that done before you
That
left?
was done just before, I believe, yeah. So,
John, did they talk about 14, Mankato to Rochester?
14,
That's pretty well done now, isn't it?
pretty well done, yeah. Blue Earth was there, and Blue Earth was pushing more of an old, they got an old Corps of Engineer bridge from years back, or dam, I'm sorry, that needs repair, and they were starting to push on that.
John, with that, I think it's important that people realize, well, the open house, we should mention the open house for the ring road is today.
Absolutely.
4 to 6 at the fairgrounds. And while there's been discussion, and I mean, I don't want to speak for the rest of the board, whether the ring road is the right idea or not, is up for discussion. I'm personally not there. However, what we did learn in all of that is the intersection of 7 and 22 is something that probably needs to be addressed. So with that and the connections that you make through these different avenues, that helps that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but as I see it from my position, that helps us start those conversations and understand how that can work and how we can plan, for the future, so in 20 years, we're not doing something today that is detrimental to a project 20 years from now. Would that be accurate?
That'd be accurate, correct, yeah. Yeah, so the open house, if you're not able to attend the open house tonight, I did post all that, and the display information and everything is on our website, under Public Works, look for the 5-year plan page is at the bottom of that, so.
And it is, and we'll discuss it more.
Right.
It is and was an exercise that we needed to do.
Yep.
We knew that. And we'll see where it all goes. But I think it's important that, when we do this, we learn other things too.
Sure. Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
in
hopefully-
conjunction with that, the value for me in long range is to try to work through a pathway or whatever the route is going to be to see what the pros and cons are there before we're really under a lot of pressure, and we don't want new buildings going up in that corridor. So I think that's something that's well worth the time. I do plan on being there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, John. Building maintenance, Spencer. Morning, Spencer.
Good morning. Considering approving a quote from the Yule Company out of Grove, Minnesota to replace the McLeod County Courthouse HVAC building automation control system at a cost of $184,850 with the funds from the county building's major repair budget, 01-115. So what we got is Honeywell has got half the controls at the courthouse, and it's going on over 20 years. And we've just noticed that we're kind of struggling to keep up with a portion of the courthouse. Some of the humidity is getting really bad, and some of that technology is just getting outdated where we start losing any of it. It's going to start getting really costly just to replace small components. So now is a good time to look at upgrading the whole bundle package.
We do have some obsolete equipment, and we've been looking at this since 2017, knowing that we would have to be moving towards it, changing, and having to end some contract with Honeywell, and we knew that upon the sale of the other building. This was in the budget for next year for $320,000, and we asked Yule to come in and look at exactly what we needed. That $320,000 included a large inflation because of the unknowns and the high price increases they've been experiencing. And if it was going to be a 2 to 3 year phased project, Chris Julick came in and met with us, and Spencer and I walked through with him. We also had Foster Mechanical there. And if we are able to do this year, which we do have the funds available, then that cost comes down to $184,850. Some of that project would possibly spread out into next year. We're going to try and purchase all of the components now if this is approved, so that we can set everything in motion. But there's a very long wait time, as you can imagine, on some parts. However, there was a large job that they had canceled, so that makes some of the components we need for our system available. Spencer mentioned the humidity. That's been a large issue, especially this summer in the courthouse and law enforcement center, especially the older pieces of the courthouse. And we also look at how the roofing ties into that and any leaks, and if you would like a tour, we can bring it through.
One question I'd have is, so the value, do you feel, I mean, the reduction from the 320 to the 180, is it more in the timing? I mean, is the end result the same?
Yes.
That's
It's an absolute for them. It says that they can quote all of those components now because they have no control or idea of what the cost increases would be. They've been seeing some cost increases up to 40% year over year. So that's why they quoted it high, because they wouldn't want us to have that requested and then not be able to do the job for us. And that would have been if it were year over year in 23 and 24.
So the long and short of it is we're getting a $320,000 project for 184.
One that could
That's what
potentially be
yeah,
that.
I
correct.
understand that.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I've been a big fan of lessening the footprint of the county and buildings, but I'm not a fan of getting rid of the courthouse. So we need to take care of it. So I would move to approve this request.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve the HVAC request. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
is this the same project that we worked on last year? We're trying to keep it running yet?
Mr. Chair, that was a air control unit that needed to be
Not
replaced.
part of it?
All of it is the HVAC and the electrical component system, but no, it's not the same thing. It all ties in. It's just pretty much impossible to replace all at once. You can come through if you'd like sometime. We can show you the improvements that have been made and the changes that will come down the pipeline. We try and plan it out and spread it out where it's needed and where it will have the biggest impact. One other thing to recall, or sorry, to keep in mind for the future with this, there will be some valves and things that go along as we move through this project that could come up. So we're looking at the costs as we go along with that, would bring that to the budget committee to make sure that they know. This is for the absolute cost for now, and this is to complete the project that needs to be done.
And Commissioner, you probably have heard, I mean, this is something that's been going on for a while, and Scott was here, what the difference in controls and the age of some of the controls and their ability to, lack of a better word, to talk to each other.
One example would be, so when it turned from winter into spring, there was a valve that broke, and so even though our chilling system was working, all the cold water was going through, some of the valves were so old that they stayed open and were letting the warm water through as well. That had to be fixed. It all does tie together, but the unit that you're talking about is separate from this project.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Spencer. Auditor Treasurer Connie. Good morning, Connie.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Members of the board. I'm here for 2 items today. Item A is to consider approval of the purchase of a dewdrop drill for a cost of $8,700 from Little Sioux Prairie Company out of Spencer, Iowa, with funds coming from the Drainage Inspector Riparian Aid account. McLeod County has been receiving payments for riparian aid since 2017, and to date, the funds have been used for spraying of trees on the county drainage systems. As opportunities arise, the county plan is to expend the funds on buffer maintenance assistance. The dewdrop drill will aid the drainage inspector with seeding portions of the buffers with limited access for large equipment.
Thanks, Connie. I was at SWCD meeting yesterday, and this was discussed there, and I actually got to see some pictures of it. And knowing what we're going through with drills and buffer strips and even repairs to washouts and whatever, I feel it's a good investment. It looks, it's a small version of our bigger ones, but it does the same things. I just cautioned, and this, Connie probably hasn't heard this before, but my question was, we don't have a trailer to haul the unit together on, and they have made some arrangements to do some swapping with our county stuff to use 2 trailers. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is to let Connie know, plus I think we should think as a board about, if we approve this, to have the trailer units so they can load it up all in one unit. And with the oversprays now on buffer strips, mistakes, some different things, timing is everything. I've seen on a couple instances where some seeding needed to be done, and yeah, we'll get right at it, and somehow it got forgotten, and all of a sudden you got 4 feet of weeds, and you gotta start basically all over. This thing, little drill, does everything the big drill does. It's got the minimum tillage wheels on it. The only thing it doesn't have, we talked about yesterday, was pack wheels, and where Adam's working on that, and it's only 6 feet wide, so it's something we can work on. So I hope I sold that good enough, but the quality of the drill looked tough. I mean, it really did. The only thing I cautioned yesterday on, and I'll also throw that in there, is they were gonna put it up for, just to be loaned out, and I cautioned probably against that for a year or 2. Let's see how it works for us. And I can see that type of a machine could be misused. So I mean, let's see how it works for us if we decide to purchase it and go from there.
I would
That's
agree
my
with that.
spiel.
We did talk to Adam Hsc about a trailer too, and, we may need that upcoming, but I know that they'll want to search for the best purchase that they can find, so.
Right, well, and also they're trying to figure out what they exactly need too, is my understanding with it as they go into this. And they talked, when you listen to them, and Doug talked about everything, from the mistakes that happened to the We're already out there and we could be doing some of this stuff on our own and saving some time. It seems to make some sense, and this fund is available for these types of purchases. So I'd move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve. Is there a second? I'll second it. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. The second item I'm here is for the public hearing, which I will have you open.
Move to open the hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel, seconded by Commissioner Wright to open the open hearing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Open meeting is now open.
So the hearing notice was published in the McLeod County Chronicle on September 14, 21, and 28, which does satisfy the requirements of statute for a public hearing. The document that I passed out to you, the county and joint drainage assessment history, that details out the past 5 years of assessments on the systems. And then I would like to say that the assessments for 2023 may include projects that will be paid by the end of the year and may include a small repair funding for upcoming 2023 projects. The 2023 assessment amounts were arrived at in consultation with the drainage inspectors. With that, I'll provide the assessments by drainage system. Please add comments or suggestions as I go along. And when we've completed with the listing and board discussion and then public comment, I will take one motion, please. Okay, so also some of these drainage systems may have two assessments on them, and that would either be to pay for old expenses of the old listing of benefited landowners, or else it's due to a redetermination and the incurred expenses of the current year. So CD5, assessment amount $15,500, 1 year. CD5, $26,150, 1 year. CD8, $11,500, 1 year. CD10, $13,000, 1 year. CD12, $185,132.15, 10 years. CD12, $2,000, 1 year. CD13, $26,332, 1 year. CD15, $2,225, 1 year. CD16, $15,050, 1 year. CD18, $1,750, 1 year. CD19, $1,500, 1 year. CD21, $1,000, 1 year. CD25, $6,711, 1 year. CD26, $1,000, 1 year. CD27, $1,000, 1 year. CD28, $96,712.42, 15 years. CD28, $11,500, 1 year. CD29, $8,800, 1 year. CD32, $7,300, 1 year. CD36, $15,000, 1 year. CD37, $700, 1 year. CD40, $6,425, 1 year. CD63, $4,000, 1 year. CD64, $4,625, 1 year. JD1, Renville McLeod Meeker, $75,408.69, 4 years. JD1, Renville McLeod Meeker, $4,000, 1 year. JD4, McLeod Renville, $2,300, 1 year. JD5, Sibley McLeod, $640, 1 year. JD8, McLeod Sibley, $30,000, 1 year. JD9, McLeod, $33,200, 1 year. JD9, McLeod, $31,825, 1 year. JD11, McLeod Wright, $96,417.48, 10 years. JD11, McLeod Wright, $1,200, 1 year. JD18, Sibley McLeod, $47,500, 1 year. JD24, Sibley McLeod Renville, $30,900, 1 year. JD28, McLeod Carver, $34,699.15, 5 years. JD 28, McLeod Carver, $1,000. JD 35, McLeod Wright, $5,000, 1 year. JD 111, McLeod Wright, $115,612.02, 10 years. And JD 111, McLeod Wright, $6,000, 1 year.
And now you can breathe.
Pardon me?
And now you can breathe, right? So,
Yeah, sorry.
8 years ago, this page was easier to read.
yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, I was gonna comment there too. If you're gonna have to slow down if you make it any smaller.
I'm sorry.
I'm just teasing. We'll get through it. Any questions? I mean, basically, it's boilerplate as long as you've got them all in here, and I'm sure you double check that, so. Any questions from the board?
And, excuse me, Mr. Chair, just for the public's perception too, the multi-year assessments were approved already at drainage hearings where they were redeterminations, and those are the larger amounts that are on the list.
Thank you.
Is there public here? Are you here for the, for the hearing, or do you wish to address?
Yes.
Okay, could you come up and state your name and where your, what your issue is?
Okay, I'm Dale Chuchka, and I was wondering, is this in addition to, because I'm on JD 11, and we were assessed valuations here, they had a meeting here a few weeks ago. Is this amount in addition to that?
This kind of, I mean, I don't speak out of turn, but this is the amount, is it not? There wouldn't be two different amounts. And I'll be perfectly honest, I'm a little, once the whole, we just approved the joint ditch, so once it's all put together, it'll be a little easier to figure out, but I'll let Connie address.
So, sir, you're on JD 11.
JD 11.
Where you were assessed the total $96,417.48 at your meeting.
Okay,
Yep. The only other one would be $1,200 expense that was incurred during this year.
okay. So this is not in addition to it, this is what was voted on before?
Just the 1,200 would be in addition.
In addition, okay. Now, my question is though, when we were assessed this, it was about potential land valuation, whether you had it tiled or not tiled. Mr. Junge said it was up to us if we wanted to tile or take care of it. It should be what the land is right now, not the potential. What if you don't have an outlet that you can go to, a neighbor that won't let you go through? You're stuck with it the way it is. You can't do anything with it. You can't tile.
And that might make sense, but the reality is that the law requires that they be valued based on their ability to use the drainage system for drainage of their property. If you choose not to do that, or if you can't do that, then that's your issue.
You're stuck, in other words.
Well, you are stuck, but if you don't have the ability to get access through a neighbor's property, you have the right to petition for a lateral if you can meet the conditions that are required for that, and it's like 26% of the landowners in that area. So you do have a right. It's your job to get the water to the ditch. It's their job to maintain the ditch and then charge you for it.
I mean, and I just want to double check, so it's 26% of the land or the landowners.
Something like that, yes.
I mean, so if you're the big landowner, and my personal, just dealing with quite a few ditches, if you, in the true sense of the word, if you can't get rid of your water, then you need to talk to well, was just redetermined, but then the redetermination, people should have taken that into consideration of what.
See, I don't think that it was ever made clear to people that it is the potential land value. They're thinking, okay, if you have tile and the ditch going in, that's what you're being assessed at now, not that you have the potential to.
It should be the same, it's just a time change. When they redetermine, they redetermine at the high, what's the right word, highest
Highest and best use.
highest best use. That's the way it's straight across the board, that's the way it's kind of in statute, or it is in statute, and, but then any difference from then I don't know, without seeing it or looking at it, and I'm not, that's not my field, but if you truly can't get it tiled, then there's a reason for, looking at your redetermination or what your benefits really are. And again, you putting in a county tile, that's why it's a county system. I mean, just like Mr. Young said, you can petition, I mean, if you do want a tile and you need to talk to our guys or, petition for a tile.
Okay.
And then then it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not private anymore. If you can show the benefits and the damages that benefits outweigh, I mean, that pretty much clears the way if you got the right percentage.
Okay. Another question is, okay, where JD 11 goes from Butternut Lake goes to Winstead. Now, the people, their water comes into Butternut, they pay far less than we do, but yet their water goes out of Butternut into JD 11. Why is that?
And that's true, but Butternut Lake ends up being a restricting factor on their ability to drain. So if Butternut Lake wasn't there, then they would be treated identically to the way you are, but Butternut Lake acts as a reservoir, a dam, whatever you want to call it.
Even further back from Butternut to the west, that Butternut doesn't drain properly, it doesn't affect them. They still can get their water there, but they're assessed far less than we are.
They are.
Okay. So, in other words, I'm stuck. To a point.
Well, you have you have a percent of the benefits, and that's what they are until it's redetermined once again.
Okay.
And that's a real expensive process. That's a long-term process. It probably won't be done for another 30 to 50 years.
I won't be around.
And I won't either.
And if it comes to a lateral, please stop. I mean, we've got a pretty good bunch of guys here that work on this. You could at least just check with them on your options. I mean, you don't have to exercise them, or if they're too expensive or not what you want. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to come in and see what your options are.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Because sometimes I didn't know, this has been quite a bit going on with 11 and turning it into a joint ditch, because you do have more people paying, and they'll show you the options of putting in a lateral and what your actual costs are and what you have to go through. So I would encourage you to probably do that, at least know what your options are.
Have you talked to Adam Hhsc before?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Okay, now it says 96,000, but when I was at the meeting, it said that the total cost was like 122,000 for JD 11.
I don't know.
That was a figure that was mentioned at the meeting. That's what I was thinking, the 96 was a different figure, because it was 122,000 some odd dollars.
I remember that number too. It was like, that feels like it was engineering costs too.
Yeah, because it was like 62,600, they said round it again, 60,600 for a buffer, 6,700 for seating, $26,600 for the viewing, and $25,000 going into the pot for maintenance and stuff.
Okay.
I just know, and I can't, it's small here, but if you take the 6 and the 115, you got your number. Is that, am I missing something there?
Well, that's JD 111, which is actually what you have, JD 111. So the number that I gave you was JD 11.
Right, but I'm on JD 11. This was a sheet that I picked up that day, but I'm on JD 111 because I'm just to the south of Butternut Lake. Because isn't it, JD 111 is over by Winstead. The one that goes into Winstead Lake, if my understanding is right. They changed it from County Ditch 11 to JD 111?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Right. And that's okay, from, once you get into, I believe it'd be Winstead Township, all the way to Winstead is JD 111. But unless I wrote the figures down right, JD 11, which is from Butternut Lake up to Winstead Township, or that area, it was supposed to be 122,000 total cost. That's what was brought up at the meeting.
Okay, well, these are the figures that we have today, and I don't know why you would have a JD 111 if that's not you.
Okay. Because I'm correct, isn't it JD 111 is,
CD 11,
Yep.
his county did,
was CD 11.
was CD 11, right? And that's the one that drains into Winston Lake. It's the last portion of that. That was my understanding of it anyway, so.
Okay. Do you want to write your phone number down here, and then we can call and have a discussion afterwards?
There is a little confusion even for myself when I did these meetings to start going to jointage. I'm waiting for the sheet that, this one helps me a lot, but we got to make sure it's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dale, thanks for coming today. Very few landowners ever attend and ask questions on this, so thanks for paying attention, so.
Nobody knows what's going on out there. That's the whole problem.
Truly stop in. She's got your number. I guarantee you she'll get back to you, but stop in. I don't know if Adam happens to be in right now, but if you leave your number, get to Adam, he will get back to you. He's a farmer himself, and besides what he does, and he'll help you.
Need him there too, huh? But help.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
So with that, are we comfortable approving this today then, or do we want to wait to make sure that there are no other questions that come up between now and whenever we would meet again?
I guess I'm comfortable with the numbers that I have listed here.
I am as well. If they'd be the other way around, I wouldn't be too comfortable, but the rest of it, it's just me,
It's fine, I'm asking the question.
Yep, I hear you. What, do you feel comfortable, or do you want to table it?
No, I am comfortable. I mean, the 115,612 plus the 6,000 would be one.
Yeah. Numbers are numbers. If you feel they're correct, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Rest of the board? So what you asked for now is a motion to approve the whole thing we went through, is that correct?
Correct.
And as far as I know, he was the only public here, so unless there's some on a phone that I don't see your computer, we're good to go. So is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright and seconded by Commissioner Nagel. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Okay. The final piece of the hearing is to set the 2023 interest rate on loans from the general fund for the systems that are in deficit. And this is to safeguard that a general taxpayer isn't funding the drainage system through their county tax payments. And for reference, 2022 McLeod interest rate was set at 3%. So I would just want a motion to consider the approval to set the 2023 drainage assessment interest loans from the general fund.
Are you comfortable with the 3, or should we consider 3.5?
I spoke with Colleen. She said three, would cover the administrative expenses that she needs.
And that's what you've been setting all of the
Correct.
redetermined ditches at,
Correct.
so that makes sense.
I'll move the 3% interest.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Nagel to set the interest at 3% and seconded by Commissioner Schmalz. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Do you have anything else?
I guess Janet might have a comment for us.
sorry, I was watching in my office. So the total amount was the one, whatever total that is. However, McLeod's portion, because it's a joint ditch, is 78%. 78 point something, don't quote me exactly on that. That's the difference. So on the resolution, we only included McLeod's portion for what our taxpayers are paying.
I'm glad you were watching.
Yeah.
That's very helpful.
All right.
Well, somebody ought to call him and tell him.
Yeah, I'll stop him. He's out in the hallway
He's
with
with
that.
that right
Great.
All right, I'll take care of that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks.
Excellent.
now. Good, we got that cleared up. Now, I'll take the motion.
I'll move to close the hearing.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel and seconded by Commissioner Schmalz to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing's closed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see here. Review of Commissioners' calendars since September 20th. Commissioner Luthens, you're up for, do you have anything for the calendar?
I can go while you get arranged there, Commissioner.
Go ahead.
Attended a Health and Human Services meeting. We did have our ARPA committee meeting last week and just hit the highlights. And then also last night attended the McLeod County Townships, talked on our Economic Development Committee and setting the levy, as well as some of the county fair highlights.
I have a couple of things. I went to Arrowwood in Alexandria. That was before the 20th. And before that, I went to PAC meeting for families. And I believe it was a director that resigned. And at the seminar in Alexandria, I went to a couple of meetings on water. Bowser, kind of interesting. There are some of the rules that they're trying to take to the Senate, and so we got to be watching all the waters and ditches in our county and how that's going to go down. Following week, I was in Washington D.C. with John. He pretty well told everything. Then I got back from there. I went 27th with Health and Human Services. 29th or 28th. Planning and zoning in Hutch. A few things that are coming before the board. One that didn't get passed was a school being built out in Tacoma Township. So that's kind of interesting. We went through it all, and they got a few things to do, and they're going to come back and reapply. That's about it. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I did miss one meeting. There was an extension committee meeting last week. There was a lot of reports from our different staff, starting in the beginning of 2020, next year, 23. We will have our horticulture position that is split between the three counties. That will be moving up to full-time, which will be good because that position is stretched really, really thin for all of the interests and questions that are out there as far as being able to bring that knowledge from the university forward. So forgot that one earlier, so just had to throw that in. Thanks.
She's going to be full-time
Yes.
in Hutch here.
Full-time split between the three counties that are involved. And the direct agricultural agent, as far as dealing with crops, that individual did take a different position early summer, so they do have an interim filling in that spot until they get another person hired full-time in that currently, so. Okay.
All right, on the 28th, I had the CRF meeting discussing our ARPS funding and trying to make the best use of the funds available. On the 29th, I had the drainage stakeholders meeting. It's an AMC policy meeting on drainage to try to review something coming up for our, I don't know if it's called the fall conference or our winter conference coming up in December. I mean, we comment on a number of meetings. There's a lot of things happening in drainage, or the legislature are being posted to the legislature for change. Bowser has been pushing for some changes and so has some special interest groups. And I mean, it's a continuing saga of how this goes on, but we're doing the best we can to pay attention and actually represent the agricultural communities. I had agenda review last Thursday, or same day on the 29th. I also, last night, yesterday morning, that would be the, whatever day it was yesterday, I'm sorry. Monday, the whatever, but at the RSWCD board meeting that I try to routinely attend. Again, we had mentioned before, the board has been put up for conservation this of the year. I'm humbled by that because without our workers and our help and our joint powers board with the SWCD, that's how we got the stuff done that we needed to do and have been able to achieve this award. We also commented at our meeting on the purchase of the cedar that was discussed fully yesterday. And then last evening, I attended the township's fall meeting. That was a quick rundown of our department heads were there and our commissioners, a rundown of what's going on. And that brings us to today. Commissioner Nagel.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
at the Alexandria meeting, Dan Larson, he retired, he announced that. You know,
Right. Yeah, that's to be noted, I guess. I was not at that meeting. I was there online, but he has actually resigned to basically retire. He's going to help until December, and that's the director and lobbyist from our MRC. They are grooming an individual there that I'm sorry, but I don't have his name.
in his speech, he explained everything he's done in the last 25 years, and the organization started out with 3 or 4 counties and grew up to 27 now. So he's got a record of that, helping everybody out, and pretty interesting. Thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Other than the last couple of weeks, the workshop after the meeting, other than that, my couple of weeks have been surrounded around union negotiations. I met with myself and the committee, met with the Minnesota Nurses Association, ASME, the LELS non-licensed sergeants, and the MINP unit over the last 2 weeks. So that's what I've been up to.
Commissioner Smalls.
Mr. Chair, since our last meeting on the 20th, we all were here for the workshop that occurred after our board meeting. And then that afternoon, I also had a well-being committee meeting, which I attended by Zoom. The 22nd on Thursday, there was a Joint Powers Board meeting hosted by UCAP, United Community Action Group. I attended that one by Zoom that week. And then following week, Tuesday, the 27th, we had Hhsc, Health and Human Services Committee meeting here at the Government Center. Thursday, the 29th, like Commissioner Nagel noted, I serve on that committee with him as well, and that we had I guess I'd call it a marathon session with 3 of our union representatives. And then that evening, again, another UCAP Zoom meeting. UCAP is going through a federal audit. We are not to be alarmed. It's just, the checks and balances being applied. And the agency is preparing for that federal audit, which is occurring this week. It affects me. With this federal audit, they actually are calling in Joint Powers Board members for interview. And I'll have to be participating on one of those calls tonight through Zoom. And like Commissioner Nagel stated, 30th on Friday, we're here at the Government Center for Union Negotiations Committee as well. And then last night, McLeod County Association of Townships meeting at the Hutch Event Center. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Young, do you have anything?
I've been at ditch hearings, at labor union stuff and court stuff.
Countdown
Life is
number?
good.
Do you have a countdown number?
We're in week 13.
He does. I know he's got a
It's teasing. Sheila, do you have anything for us?
I'll go ahead with item A.
Sure.
Notification of board workshop following the board meeting on Tuesday, October 18, 2022. Winstead City Hall, 201 First Street, North Winstead, Minnesota. Yes, that's right, we will have our next meetings in Winstead, which Mr. Chair will read that notification at the end. Thank you.
Thank you. Open forum. Anyone here to address the board for the good of the county? Press relations? Hearing none. The next county board meeting is 9 a.m. Tuesday, October 18th, 2022 at Winstead City Hall, 201 First Street North, Winstead, Minnesota. Again, that's Tuesday, October 18th, 2022, 9 a.m. at the Winstead City Hall, 201 First Street North in Winstead, Minnesota. I would
Mr.
enter.
Chair?
Go ahead.
Yeah, with that information, I'd like to remind the board and the public that when we get to the Winstead City Hall, their council chambers are in the lower level of the building. So if you enter on street level, you proceed either down through an elevator or a stairwell to their council chambers on the lower level. And I'm sure Winstead is looking forward to hosting us for the event.
It's a beautiful place.
Thank you, Commissioner Smalls. With that, I'll entertain a motion to recess.
Move recess, Mr. Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Smalls. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're recessed. Take a